The rejected Omega married another Alpha. Then her ex came begging at her door. Chapter 1 5 years earlier. Nobody looked at the Omega girl, not unless they needed something, or someone to blame. Alara was used to it. She carried baskets, scrubbed floors, delivered food, cleaned after celebrations she was never invited to join. Most days, people barely remembered her name. Move faster, Omega. Watch where you're going. Don't touch that. The words followed her everywhere, like shadows. She lowered her head and kept working. That was easier. Always easier. The Moonfang pack had no place for girls like her. Girls without powerful families, without money, without status, without wolves strong enough to impress anyone, especially not alphas. And definitely not Alpha Rowan, the future leader of Moonfang, and the most admired wolf in the territory. Women chased him constantly. Strong wolves, beautiful wolves, daughters of wealthy bloodlines. Meanwhile, Alara spent her mornings washing dishes. Life was simple, painful, predictable, until the day everything changed. Alara, she turned. An elderly she-wolf hurried across the market. Mira, the pack healer, one of the few people who treated Alara kindly. Can you help me? Of course. My hands are shaking again. Mira smiled sadly. These old bones aren't what they used to be. Alara took the basket from her. I'll carry it. Thank you, child. They walked together toward the healer's cottage. As always, Mira noticed things others missed. You look tired. I'm fine. You always say that. Alara smiled weakly. Mira sighed. Still dreaming about him? Alara nearly stumbled. No. The healer raised an eyebrow. That means yes. Heat flooded Alara's face. She hated this conversation. Because it was true. Every Omega in the territory knew Alpha Rowan, but Alara had loved him quietly for years. A foolish secret, a hopeless one. She never expected anything, never imagined he would choose her. Still, feelings rarely listened to reason. He doesn't even know I exist, she whispered. Mira stopped walking. That's not true. Alara looked up. What? The older woman studied her carefully. For a strange moment, something unreadable crossed her face. Almost concern. Almost fear. Then it vanished. Nothing. Mira. Forget it. The healer started walking again. Alara frowned. That was strange. Very strange. But before she could ask more, shouting erupted across the village. People rushed toward the central square. Excited voices filled the air. The Alpha's announcing it today. Finally. I heard he'll choose a mate. About time. Alara's heart dropped. Rowan, mate selection. Of course. She forced herself to keep walking, but every word stabbed deeper. Mira noticed immediately. You don't have to go. I'm not. Good. Yet somehow, less than an hour later, Alara found herself standing at the edge of the crowd. Watching, like everyone else. Thousands of wolves filled the square. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Women adjusted their dresses, smiled hopefully, whispered nervously. Then Rowan appeared. The crowd erupted. Even Alara's breath caught. He was tall, powerful, confident. Everything an alpha should be. Golden eyes scanned the crowd. The future alpha king. The wolf everyone admired. The wolf she should have forgotten years ago. Beside him stood his father. Current alpha of Moonfang. The older alpha raised a hand. Silence spread instantly. My son has delayed this long enough. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Rowan rolled his eyes. More laughter. The alpha continued. Today, he announces the woman who will stand beside him. Cheers exploded. Excitement spread everywhere. Alara tried to leave. She really did, but her feet wouldn't move. Then something impossible happened. Rowan's eyes landed on her, directly on her, across hundreds of people, across the entire square. For one strange second, neither looked away. Alara's pulse raced. Why was he staring? Then he looked elsewhere. Just like that. The moment ended, and she hated herself for feeling disappointed. The alpha smiled. There's only one woman I want. The crowd held its breath, and several women looked ready to faint. Names were whispered everywhere. Rowan stepped forward, pointed into the crowd. A beautiful she-wolf gasped. Daughter of the richest family in Moonfang. Everyone already expected it. The perfect choice. The perfect future, Luna. Applause thundered. Cheers echoed. The woman rushed forward. Tears filled her eyes. Rowan smiled, then said 4 words that changed everything. You are not her. Silence. Absolute silence. Confusion swept through the crowd. The woman froze. Humiliation flooded her face. Then Rowan pointed again, this time toward the back, toward the forgotten edge of the square, toward the servant section, toward Alara. Her heart stopped. No, 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 no. This couldn't be happening. Every face turned toward her. Shock spread instantly. The crowd erupted. What? An Omega? Impossible! Rowan walked directly toward her. People moved aside automatically, creating a path. Alara couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't move. The alpha stopped only inches away. His golden eyes locked onto hers. And for the first time in her life, Alpha Rowan spoke directly to her. Alara. The way he said her name made her stomach twist. He knew her name. How? Why? The entire crowd waited, watching, confused, suspicious, terrified. Then Rowan reached toward her. The audience gasped. Alara's pulse thundered. Was this real? Was the impossible actually happening? But before his hand could touch hers, a scream echoed across the square, and an arrow flew straight toward Rowan's heart. To be continued. Chapter 2. The arrow moved too fast for most wolves to react. But not Alara. Something flashed in the corner of her vision. A sudden instinct. A warning she couldn't explain. Rowan! She threw herself forward. The alpha turned. The arrow missed his heart by inches. Instead, it tore through his shoulder. Blood splattered across the stone square. Chaos exploded instantly. People screamed. Warriors rushed forward. Children cried. The crowd scattered in every direction. Rowan staggered. His father shifted into wolf form with a furious roar. Find the attacker! Guards stormed through the village, but the assassin was already gone. Alara stared at Rowan, at the blood soaking his shirt, at the wound that should have killed him. If she hadn't moved, if she hadn't shouted, if she had reacted 1 second later, the future alpha would be dead. Strong hands grabbed her shoulders. For a brief moment, she panicked. Then she realized it was Mira. The old healer looked pale, almost frightened. Not because of Rowan, because of Alara. You saw it. Alara blinked. What? The arrow. Everyone saw it. No. Mira's voice dropped. You saw it before it happened. Alara frowned. That made no sense. Before she could answer, warriors surrounded them. Alpha Rowan wants the Omega. The words stunned everyone nearby. The Omega. Not her name, not Alara. Just Omega. Yet somehow the command still shocked the crowd. Mira's expression darkened. Go. Alara swallowed. Why? Because refusing would be worse. The warriors escorted her toward the Alpha house. Hundreds of eyes followed her. None of them friendly. Especially the women who had hoped Rowan would choose them. One muttered as Alara passed. She planned this. Another nodded. Obviously. Nobody gets that lucky. The words hurt more than she wanted to admit. Because deep down, part of her wondered the same thing. Why had Rowan pointed at her? Why now? Why after years of ignoring her? Nothing made sense. And things only became stranger when she entered Rowan's private office. The room was empty except for him. His shoulder was wrapped in bandages, his expression unreadable. The door closed behind her. Silence filled the room. Alara stared at the floor. "Thank you." His voice surprised her. She looked up. "What?" "For saving my life." Her cheeks warmed. "I only reacted. You reacted faster than trained warriors." Neither spoke for a moment. Then Rowan stepped closer. "How did you know?" "I didn't." His eyes narrowed. "You shouted before the arrow was fired." Alara froze. Had she? The truth was blurry. She remembered fear, a strange sensation, like a voice whispering danger. But that sounded ridiculous. "I don't know." Rowan watched her carefully, as if searching for something, as if she were a puzzle. Finally he sighed. "Sit." She obeyed, mostly because she was terrified. The Alpha poured water into 2 cups, then handed one to her. Again, shocking. No Alpha served an Omega. Not openly, not willingly. Yet Rowan acted like it was normal. The mystery grew larger. "Why did you choose me?" The question escaped before she could stop it. Immediately she regretted it, but Rowan didn't seem angry, just thoughtful. "I knew you'd ask." "Everyone is asking." A faint smile appeared. "True. Then tell me." The smile disappeared. "No." Alara blinked. "No?" "Not yet." Frustration rose inside her. "Or you publicly pointed at me." "Yes." "The entire pack thinks you're choosing me." "Yes." "You humiliated half the territory." "Probably." "And you're not going to explain?" "No." She stared at him. For the first time, Rowan looked amused. Actually amused. "You're braver than people think." The comment caught her off guard. Nobody had ever called her brave. Invisible. Weak. Forgettable. Yes. Brave? Never. Before she could respond, a knock interrupted them. A warrior entered. His face looked grim. "Alpha. What happened?" "We found the arrow." Rowan's expression hardened immediately. "And?" The warrior hesitated, then placed something on the desk. A silver emblem. Alara gasped. Everyone in the territory recognized it. Nightfang. Moonfang's oldest enemy. A rival pack. Dangerous. Powerful. Ruthless. The room suddenly felt colder. Rowan picked up the emblem. His jaw tightened. "They haven't attacked openly in 15 years. The warrior nodded. "Exactly." Alara's stomach twisted. This wasn't a random assassination attempt. This was bigger. Much bigger. The warrior continued. "We also found a witness." Rowan looked up. "Who?" "A merchant." "And?" "He claims the assassin wasn't targeting you." Silence. Complete silence. Rowan's eyes sharpened. "What did he say?" The warrior swallowed. "He said the assassin was watching the crowd before the announcement." A terrible feeling spread through Alara's chest. The warrior looked directly at her, then spoke the words she would never forget. "He believes the target was actually her." The room went still. Alara felt the blood drain from her face. "No." The warrior nodded. "The witness is certain." Rowan slowly turned toward her. For the first time since she'd entered the room, he looked worried. Not for himself, for her. And somehow that frightened Alara even more, because she had spent her entire life being ignored. So why would an enemy assassin travel across territories, just to kill an Omega nobody cared about? And why did Rowan suddenly look like he already knew the answer? Chapter 3. The room remained silent. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Alara felt trapped beneath Rowan's gaze. The warrior shifted uneasily. "Should I bring the witness, Alpha?" Rowan didn't answer immediately. His eyes never left Alara. Finally, he nodded. "Bring him." The warrior left. The door closed, and once again they were alone. Alara's hands trembled. "This is ridiculous." Rowan leaned against the desk. "Is it?" "Yes." She stood abruptly. "No one would target me." "Why not?" "Because I'm nobody." The words escaped before she could stop them. A shadow crossed Rowan's face. Something painful. Something unexpected. "You believe that?" She laughed bitterly. "Everyone believes that." He didn't argue. And somehow that hurt even more. A few minutes later, the witness arrived. An older merchant. Thin. Nervous. Still shaking. The moment he saw Alara, he pointed. "That's her." Rowan folded his arms. "Tell us exactly what happened." The merchant swallowed hard. "I arrived early." "How early?" "About an hour before the ceremony." "Continue." The merchant nodded. "I noticed a stranger watching the square." "Nightfang?" "I think so." "What was he doing?" The merchant hesitated. "Watching her." The room seemed to shrink. Alara's stomach dropped. "He never looked at you, Alpha." The merchant pointed toward Rowan. "He watched her the entire time." "Are you certain?" "Yes." The man's voice trembled. Then something strange happened. Rowan stepped forward. "What?" "The assassin saw you approach her." The merchant pointed between Rowan and Alara. That's when he panicked. A cold chill crawled down Alara's spine. "What do you mean?" Rowan asked. The merchant took a breath. "He wasn't planning to shoot." Silence. "He only fired after you chose her." Rowan's eyes narrowed. The merchant continued. "It looked like desperation." The words landed heavily. Desperation. Not opportunity. Not strategy. Fear. The assassin had been afraid of something. And that something involved Alara. After the merchant left, neither spoke. The implications were terrifying. Finally, Alara broke the silence. "What is happening?" Rowan looked away. That alone was enough to alarm her. The Alpha never looked uncertain. Never. Yet now he seemed to be choosing his words carefully. "You've never met your parents." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Alara frowned. "No." The answer was simple. Painfully simple. She had been abandoned as an infant. Found near the edge of Moonfang territory. Raised by pack caretakers. Nobody knew where she came from. Or at least nobody had ever told her. "What does that have to do with anything?" Rowan exhaled slowly. "Maybe nothing." "Maybe?" His jaw tightened. "I don't know." That answer surprised her. Powerful men usually pretended they knew everything. Rowan didn't. At least not now. A knock interrupted them. The door burst open. Mira rushed inside. The elderly healer rarely looked frightened. Today she looked terrified. "Alpha." Rowan straightened. "What happened?" Mira glanced at Alara, then back at Rowan. "We need to talk. Now." Something in her voice made Rowan dismiss the guards immediately. The moment they were alone, Mira locked the door. Actually locked it. Alara had never seen her do that. Fear spread through her chest. "Mira?" The healer ignored her. Instead, she stared at Rowan. "You told her?" "No." "Good." Alara blinked. "What are you talking about?" Neither answered. "Mira." Still nothing. "Mira." The healer finally looked at her, and Alara immediately wished she hadn't, because tears filled the older woman's eyes. "There's something I've hidden from you." The words hit like a hammer. Hidden. For years. Why? "What?" Mira's hands shook. I wanted to protect you. Alara's heart pounded. I protect me from what? The healer looked toward Rowan, almost asking permission. The Alpha gave a small nod. Mira turned back, then slowly reached beneath her cloak. She pulled out a small wooden box. Old, worn, carefully preserved. Alara stared at it. Recognition flickered. She had seen it before, years ago, when she was a child. Only once. Then it had disappeared. Mira placed the box on the desk. Where did you get that? The healer's voice broke. It was with you. Alara froze. What? The night you were found. The room spun slightly. Every orphan dreams about their past, about answers, about family, about belonging. Yet now that those answers might exist, she wasn't sure she wanted them. Mira opened the box. Inside rested a silver necklace. Beautiful, ancient, unlike anything Alara had ever seen. The moment Rowan saw it, his face changed. Shock. Real shock. The Alpha actually took a step backward. Alara noticed immediately. So you know what it is. Rowan didn't answer, which was answer enough. Mira. The healer nodded sadly. Yes. Alara looked between them. What is this? Silence. Then Rowan finally spoke. His voice sounded different. Lower. More serious. That necklace shouldn't exist. Fear tightened around Alara's chest. What does that mean? Rowan stared at the symbol carved into the silver. A crescent moon wrapped around a wolf. An unfamiliar mark. Yet somehow it felt important. Ancient. Powerful. Forgotten. It belongs to a bloodline that disappeared 20 years ago. Alara stopped breathing. Mira closed her eyes. Rowan continued. A royal bloodline. The room fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Alara laughed nervously. Because that was absurd. Completely absurd. She was an Omega servant. A girl who scrubbed floors. A girl nobody noticed. A girl with no family. No status. No future. That's impossible. Mira looked away. Rowan didn't. And that terrified her. Because neither of them looked like they thought it was impossible. They looked like they thought it was true. Then suddenly, a howl echoed outside. Loud. Urgent. Dangerous. A guard burst through the door, his face pale. Alpha! Rowan spun around. What? The guard struggled to catch his breath. Nightfang wolves crossed the border. Silence. The guard swallowed hard. There are hundreds of them. Alara's pulse stopped. Hundreds? That wasn't a raid. That wasn't revenge. That wasn't intimidation. That was war. Then the guard said something even worse. They're carrying banners. Rowan's expression darkened. What banners? The guard looked toward Alara. Fear filled his eyes. Then he whispered, the same symbol that's on her necklace. And suddenly everyone in the room realized the invading army wasn't coming for Moonfang. They were coming for Alara. Chapter 4. The room exploded into motion. Rowan grabbed his sword. Guards rushed through the hallways. War horns sounded across the village. Long, deep, urgent. The sound sent fear through every wolf in Moonfang, because war horns only meant one thing. Danger was already here. Alara stood frozen. Her mind refused to catch up. They're coming for me? The words sounded ridiculous. Impossible. Yet nobody laughed. Nobody corrected her. Mira looked terrified. The guards looked terrified. Even Rowan looked concerned. And that frightened her more than anything. The Alpha turned toward his warriors. Evacuate the village. Yes, Alpha. Move the children first. The guards sprinted away. Within seconds, chaos spread throughout the Alpha house. Footsteps thundered everywhere. Orders echoed through the corridors. Outside, wolves were already preparing for battle. Alara felt sick, This can't be happening. Rowan faced her. It is. His honesty hit harder than any lie could. She shook her head. I'm nobody. There are hundreds of warriors crossing the border. His voice remained calm. Nobody starts a war over nobody. The words cut deep, because part of her still believed she was exactly that. Nobody. Forgettable. Disposable. An Omega servant. Yet the evidence stood in front of her. An assassin. A hidden necklace. A secret bloodline. An army. None of it made sense, but all of it was real. A sudden crash shook the building. Everyone jumped. Another horn sounded, closer this time. Rowan immediately moved toward the window. His expression darkened. They're moving faster than expected. Mira grabbed Alara's arm. You need to leave. What? Now? Rowan nodded. She's right. Alara stared at them. Leave where? North. Rowan pointed toward the mountains. There are old hunter trails. No. The answer came instantly. Both looked surprised. No? Alara squared her shoulders. If this is happening because of me, I won't run. Mira looked heartbroken. Child. No. For once, Alara refused to lower her eyes, refused to shrink herself. People had decided things for her entire life. Not this time. If wolves are dying because someone wants me, then I deserve answers. The room went quiet. Rowan studied her carefully. For a moment, something changed in his expression. Respect. Real respect. Not pity, not obligation. Respect. It made her chest tighten unexpectedly. Before anyone could speak, another guard rushed inside. Alpha. What now? The guard looked confused, almost disturbed. We received a message. Rowan frowned. A message? The guard nodded. From Nightfang. That didn't make sense. Invading armies didn't usually send messages. Not during an attack. Not unless they wanted something. Rowan held out his hand. The guard passed him a scroll. The Alpha broke the seal. Read, then froze. Alara noticed immediately. What is it? Rowan didn't answer. His jaw tightened. Rowan. Slowly, he handed her the letter. She took it, looked down, and immediately felt cold. There was only one sentence. One sentence written in dark ink. Return the moon, daughter, and no blood will be spilled. Alara read it again, and again. The words never changed. Moon daughter. What does that mean? Nobody answered, because nobody knew, or at least nobody seemed willing to say. Suddenly, Mira spoke, very quietly. I've heard that title before. Both Alara and Rowan turned toward her. The healer looked pale, far paler than before. Where? Rowan asked. Mira hesitated, then sighed. Stories. What kind of stories? The old kind. The room became still. Every pack had old stories, ancient legends, tales passed through generations. Most were considered myths, children's tales, nothing more. Yet Mira didn't look like she was talking about myths. She looked terrified. The Moon Daughter was supposed to unite the territories. Alara blinked. What? Mira swallowed. According to the legends, she carried the blood of the first wolves. Silence. The bloodline that ruled before packs existed. Rowan frowned. I've never heard that. Most people haven't. The healer sat heavily in a chair. Those stories were erased. Why? Mira looked away. Because every war in history started because of them. A chill spread through the room. Every war? That couldn't be true. Could it? Before anyone could ask more, another crash echoed outside. This one much louder. The walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A distant scream followed. Then another. And another. The battle had begun. Rowan immediately moved toward the door. No. Alara stepped forward. You can't leave. His eyes narrowed. I have warriors fighting for their lives. You'll be killed. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Silence followed. Their eyes met. For one strange moment, the world seemed to disappear. The noise, the battle, the fear, everything faded. There was only him. Only those golden eyes. Only the terrifying realization that she didn't want him hurt. Not because he was Alpha. Not because he had chosen her. Because he was Rowan. And somehow that mattered. A lot more than it should. He noticed. She knew he noticed, because something softened in his expression. Just briefly. Then it vanished. I won't die. His voice was quiet. Certain. Before she could respond, he stepped closer. Much closer. Close enough for her heartbeat to become dangerous. Close enough for her scent to reach him. Something strange happened. Rowan froze. Only for a second. But Alara noticed. His gaze sharpened. Confusion flashed across his face. Then disbelief. Almost as if he'd realized something impossible. Rowan? He stepped back immediately. Too quickly. His expression became unreadable. What is it? Nothing. The answer came too fast. Too rehearsed. Definitely a lie. Before she could press further, Rowan opened the door. I'll return soon. Then he left. Just like that. Leaving Alara standing there. More confused than ever. Mira noticed immediately. What happened? I don't know. But she did know one thing. The moment he stepped close, something had changed. Something important. Something he clearly didn't want her to discover. Outside, battle cries echoed through the village. Steel clashed against steel. Wolves roared. The war had arrived. Yet somehow Alara couldn't stop thinking about Rowan's reaction. About that brief look of shock. About the way he suddenly pulled away. As if her scent had revealed a secret. A secret dangerous enough to frighten even an Alpha. And several miles away, on a battlefield stained with blood, the leader of the invading army finally arrived. He looked toward Moonfang's walls. Toward the Alpha house. Toward Alara. Then he smiled. Because after 20 years of searching, he had finally found the girl who was never supposed to survive. Chapter 5. The battle lasted until dawn. Moonfang held its walls. Barely. When the sun finally rose above the mountains, the village looked different. Broken fences, burned homes, blood-stained streets, exhausted warriors. The cost of one night was written everywhere. And the worst part? The Nightfang army had suddenly retreated. No final attack. No attempt to breach the Alpha house. They had simply pulled back, as if they had already accomplished something. Or learned something. Alara sat near the window, unable to sleep. Every scream from the night still echoed in her head. Mira entered quietly. You should rest. Alara shook her head. I'm tired of people saying that. The healer gave a sad smile. Fair enough. Silence settled between them. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Alara asked the question that had haunted her all night. Who am I? Mira closed her eyes. The question was inevitable, and they both knew it. I don't know everything. Tell me what you do know. The old healer hesitated, then nodded. 20 years ago, a woman came to Moonfang. Alara listened carefully. She arrived during a storm. Alone? No. Mira's expression darkened. She was carrying a baby. Alara's stomach tightened. A baby. Her. Mira continued. The woman was badly injured. Who was she? I never learned her name. The answer surprised her. You helped her. Only briefly. The healer looked toward the mountains, remembering. She refused to stay. Why? She said people were hunting her. The room grew colder. Alara already knew where this story was going, yet hearing it somehow made it worse. Then what happened? Mira's voice became soft. She gave me the baby. Silence. She said the child had to live. Alara's chest hurt. Then she left. And? Mira looked away. She never came back. The answer landed like a stone. Even though she had expected it, even though she had known, it still hurt. Somewhere deep inside, a small part of her had always hoped, always wondered, always imagined. Now that hope felt smaller, more fragile. Did she love me? Mira immediately looked at her. Without question. The answer came so quickly that tears filled Alara's eyes. How can you know? The healer smiled sadly. Because she was willing to die for you. Neither spoke for several seconds. Then another voice interrupted. She's telling the truth. Alara turned. Rowan stood in the doorway. Fresh bandages wrapped his shoulder. His clothes carried traces of dried blood. He looked exhausted, yet somehow stronger than ever. Mira rose immediately. I'll leave you two alone. The moment she left, silence returned. Different this time. Awkward. Dangerous. Alara looked away first. She hated that. Hated how aware she suddenly felt around him. Especially after yesterday. Especially after whatever had happened when he caught her scent. Rowan crossed the room, then placed several old books on the table. Her eyebrows rose. What are those? Answers. Immediately she sat forward. Rowan opened one carefully. Ancient pages filled with faded writing. Maps, symbols, drawings. Things she couldn't understand. I spent the night searching the archives. His voice sounded rough. Tired. There are references to the Moon Daughter. And? He looked at her. The stories weren't myths. A chill moved through her. Rowan opened another book. Inside was a sketch. A woman wearing the same necklace, the same symbol, the same crescent moon. Alara stared. Who is she? No name. Rowan tapped the page. But every account says the same thing. What? The Moon Daughter could unite wolves. That sounded ridiculous. How? No one knows. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Frustration rose inside her. Every answer created more questions. Every discovery deepened the mystery. Then Rowan opened the final book. Immediately his expression changed. Alara noticed. What is it? He didn't answer. Rowan. Slowly he turned the book toward her. Her breath caught. The page contained a family tree. Ancient, massive. Generations of names connected together. Near the bottom sat one name, marked with red ink. A name recently added. A name written by hand. Alara. She froze. What? Rowan's jaw tightened. You're listed here. That doesn't prove anything. It proves someone believed you belonged to this bloodline. Her pulse quickened. Then she noticed something else. Another name. Higher on the page. A male name. Circled repeatedly. What does that mean? Rowan looked uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. That alone terrified her. Because Rowan rarely looked uncomfortable. What does it mean? His eyes met hers. And for the first time since they met, she saw genuine concern. That name belonged to the last king. The room became still. King, not Alpha. King. A title older than the packs, older than territories, older than everything she knew. Why is it circled? Rowan hesitated, then answered. Because he wasn't executed. Alara blinked. What? The records say he disappeared. A chill crawled down her spine. Disappeared. Not dead. Missing. 20 years ago. Her stomach dropped. 20 years. The exact same year she had been abandoned. The exact same year her mother appeared. The exact same year the bloodline vanished. Pieces began connecting. Terrible pieces. Impossible pieces. No. Rowan remained silent. No. Her voice cracked. You think? I don't know what to think. But she knew, or at least she feared it. If the king vanished 20 years ago, if her mother fled with a baby, if Nightfang crossed borders searching for her, then there was only one explanation. One impossible explanation. A knock shattered the silence. A wounded warrior stumbled inside. His face was pale, covered in blood. "Alpha!" Rowan immediately stood. What happened? The warrior struggled to breathe. "We captured one." "One what?" "A Nightfang officer." Rowan's eyes sharpened. "Alive?" The warrior nodded, barely. "He's demanding to see her." The room fell silent. Alara's pulse thundered. "Me?" "Yes?" The warrior swallowed. "He says he knows who she is." A terrible feeling settled in her chest. Rowan looked toward her, already knowing what she would say. "No." His answer came instantly. "We're not doing this." But Alara shook her head. "Yes, we are. Alara, I need answers. It could be a trap. It probably is." The honesty surprised him. Yet she continued. "I'm done hiding." Rowan stared at her. Long. Hard. Finally, he exhaled. Defeated. "Fine." 1 hour later, they entered the underground cells. The captured officer sat chained to a stone wall. Tall. Scarred. Dangerous. Despite his injuries, he smiled the moment he saw Alara. Not with hatred. Not with anger. With relief. Real relief. The reaction shocked everyone. Especially Rowan. The officer slowly stood. His eyes never left Alara. Then he said 5 words that turned her world upside down. "My princess." Silence. Complete silence. The officer lowered his head. A gesture of respect. A gesture of loyalty. A gesture given only to royalty. Then he smiled sadly and delivered the revelation that changed everything. "Your father is alive." Chapter 6. The underground cell became completely silent. No one breathed. No one moved. Alara simply stared. "My father is alive." The words echoed in her head. Again, and again, and again. Impossible. Her entire life she had believed she was alone. An orphan. Forgotten. Abandoned. Now a stranger was telling her that her father was alive. Not only alive. A king. "No." The whisper escaped her lips. The officer's expression softened. "I understand." "You don't understand anything." Her voice shook. "If my father was alive, he would have come for me." Pain flashed across the officer's face. Real pain. Your Highness." "Don't call me that." The words snapped through the room. The officer lowered his gaze immediately. Surprisingly obedient. As if her command mattered. As if it always had. Rowan stepped forward. His presence instantly changed the atmosphere. "What is your name?" The officer looked up. "Darius." "Rank?" "Commander." "Why is Nightfang searching for her?" Darius laughed bitterly. "We aren't." Rowan's eyes narrowed. "Then explain the army at my border." "That army wasn't sent by Nightfang." The answer stunned everyone. "What?" Darius leaned back against the wall. "The pack is divided." A chill spread through the room. Political divisions, power struggles, civil conflict. None of those things ended well. "There are 2 factions." Darius looked directly at Alara. "One wants to protect you." His expression hardened. "The other wants you dead." The room fell silent. Alara's stomach twisted. Dead. The word felt different now. More personal. More real. "Why?" Darius gave a humorless smile. "Because you were supposed to disappear." Nobody spoke. The commander continued. "For 20 years, people believed the royal bloodline was gone." His gaze remained fixed on Alara. Then rumors started spreading. What rumors? That the king's daughter survived. A chill ran through her. How? No one knows. Darius looked frustrated. But once the rumors began, everything changed. Rowan folded his arms. Why? The commander laughed. Because power makes wolves stupid. No one disagreed. There are packs that want her crowned. His eyes shifted toward Alara. There are others who fear what her existence means. And what does it mean? The question came quietly. Adarius looked at her, really looked at her. Then he answered, It means the old laws still matter. Confusion crossed her face. The old laws? The commander nodded. The first treaty. Rowan's expression darkened immediately. Alara noticed. You know about it. The Alpha remained silent, which was answer enough. What treaty? Darius sighed. 1,000 years ago, the wolf territories weren't divided. He pointed toward the mountains. The packs followed one ruler. The Moon Crown. The name sounded familiar. Ancient. Important. Almost legendary. The treaty stated that only the royal bloodline could unite all territories. Silence. Darius smiled bitterly. Most wolves considered it mythology. Then he looked directly at Alara. Until you appeared. The weight of his words settled over the room. For 20 years she had been invisible. Now entire armies were marching because she existed. It felt unreal, like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Then another thought struck her. A terrible one. If my father is alive? Darius immediately looked away, and that terrified her. If he's alive? Her voice weakened. Why didn't he come for me? Silence. The commander's expression became painful, guilty, almost ashamed. Tell me. Still nothing. Tell me. Darius closed his eyes, then finally spoke. Because he thought you were dead. The words hit like a knife. Dead. He thought she was dead. Not abandoned. Not forgotten. Dead. Tears burned her eyes unexpectedly, and she hated it. Hated how much that answer mattered. How desperately she'd wanted something different. Something better. Darius continued quietly. Your father searched for years. The room blurred slightly. He never stopped. Then why didn't he find me? The commander swallowed. Because someone betrayed him. A new silence followed. Different this time. Dangerous. Rowan immediately noticed it too. Who? Darius shook his head. I don't know. You're lying. No. The commander looked genuinely frustrated. I know there was a betrayal. His jaw tightened. But the traitor was never identified. Alara wiped her eyes quickly, trying to regain control, trying to stay focused. Then she asked the question that mattered most. Where is my father? Darius looked directly at her. In hiding. The answer disappointed her immediately. Where? I don't know. You expect me to believe that? It's true. The commander spread his hands. Only 3 people know his location. And? 2 are dead. A chill spread through the room. Darius continued. The 3rd refuses to speak. Hope rose briefly, then collapsed. Another dead end. Another mystery. Another secret. It never ended. Never. Suddenly, footsteps echoed through the corridor. Fast. Urgent. A guard appeared at the cell entrance. His face was pale. Alpha. Rowan turned. What happened? The guard looked shaken. Actually shaken. And battle-hardened warriors rarely looked shaken. We found something. What? The guard hesitated, then looked toward Alara. His expression became strange, confused, afraid, almost odd. What is it? The guard swallowed. There's a wolf outside. Rowan frowned. A wolf? Yes. The guard struggled to find the words. It appeared after sunrise. So kill it if it's a threat. The guard immediately shook his head. No. Why not? The warrior looked directly at Alara. Hal then whispered, because it refuses to leave her scent trail. Silence. The guard continued. It's been sitting outside the village all day. Alara frowned. What does that have to do with me? The guard's face turned pale. Because every wolf who approaches it. He hesitated, then finished. Bows. The room went completely still. Even Darius looked shocked. Rowan's eyes narrowed. What kind of wolf? The guard swallowed. I've never seen one like it. Fear crept into his voice. It's enormous. A pause. White. Another pause. And its eyes glow silver. No one spoke. No one moved. Then Darius suddenly looked terrified. Genuinely terrified. The commander staggered backward against the wall. His chains rattled loudly. No. Rowan turned sharply. You know what it is. Darius stared at Alara. His face had lost all color. No. What? The commander's voice dropped to a whisper filled with fear. A whisper that made every hair on Alara's body stand up. The Guardian! The title meant nothing to Alara, but everyone else's reaction told a different story. Rowan froze. The guards froze. Even Mira, who had just entered the corridor, froze. As if they all recognized the name. As if they all feared it. Alara looked between them. What is the Guardian? Nobody answered immediately. Finally, Darius spoke, and his voice trembled. According to the oldest legends... He swallowed hard. The Guardian only appears for one reason. The air seemed to leave the room. Alara's pulse thundered. Why? Darius stared directly into her eyes, then whispered, to protect the future queen. And outside Moonfang's walls, the massive white wolf slowly rose to its feet. And because someone far more dangerous than the Nightfang army had just entered the territory. Chapter 7. The white wolf was gone. By the time Rowan reached the village gates, it had vanished. No tracks, no scent, nothing. As if it had never been there. Yet dozens of warriors had seen it. Dozens had witnessed the impossible. And now fear spread through Moonfang faster than any enemy army. Legends were one thing. Proof was another. 3 days passed. 3 long days. No attacks. No battles. No answers. The silence felt wrong, like the calm before a storm. Alara spent most of her time inside the Alpha House. Not because Rowan ordered it, because everywhere she went, people stared. Some bowed, others whispered. A few looked terrified. She hated all of it. I miss being ignored. Mira laughed softly. Careful what you wish for. Alara smiled weakly. Then the smile faded. Nothing felt normal anymore. Not her life. Not her future. Not even her own name. Every answer uncovered another secret. Every secret pulled her further away from the girl she used to be. The girl who cleaned floors. The girl nobody noticed. That girl was disappearing, and she wasn't sure how she felt about it. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Rowan entered. Immediately, the room felt smaller, more intense, more complicated. Something had changed between them during the past few days. Neither mentioned it. Neither understood it. But both felt it. The distance between them no longer felt natural. And somehow that frightened Alara. Trusting him had become easy. Too easy. What happened? Rowan looked serious. We found another message. Her stomach tightened. From Nightfang? No. That was worse. Because there was only one thing worse than Nightfang. The unknown. Rowan handed her a folded letter. The seal was unfamiliar. Black wax, silver markings. Elegant. Dangerous. Alara opened it carefully, then froze. The letter contained only one sentence. She already knew the handwriting. Return the girl before the next moonrise. Or watch your alpha die. The room became silent. Cold. Terrifying. Alara looked up slowly. Rowan's expression remained calm. Too calm. They're bluffing. The words sounded hollow. Neither believed them. Who sent this? We don't know. Then how do they know about me? Rowan didn't answer, and that answer terrified her, because if someone knew where she was, someone was watching. A loud crash echoed downstairs. Both immediately stood. Shouting followed. Then running footsteps. A warrior burst into the room. His face was pale. Alpha! What happened? The warrior looked horrified. We caught a spy. Silence. A spy? The guard nodded. Inside the Alpha house. Every muscle in Rowan's body tightened. Inside. Not outside. Inside. Someone had breached their security. Someone had gotten close. Too close. Where? The western wing. Rowan immediately moved toward the door. Alara followed. No. Rowan. Stay here. I'm not a child. His jaw tightened. For a moment, they simply stared at each other. Then Rowan sighed. Stay behind me. It wasn't permission, but it was close enough. Minutes later, they entered the lower hall. Guards surrounded a kneeling figure. Hands bound. Face hidden beneath a hood. The spy remained completely calm. Almost relaxed. As if being captured didn't matter. As if everything was proceeding according to plan. That feeling unsettled Alara immediately. Rowan stepped forward. Remove the hood. A guard obeyed. The hood fell. Alara gasped. The woman kneeling on the floor looked familiar. Very familiar. No. Impossible. Mira? The room exploded into confusion. The elderly healer stood frozen. The prisoner smiled, because she looked exactly like Mira. Same face, same eyes, same features. It was impossible, completely impossible. The real Mira staggered backward. What? The prisoner smiled wider. Hello, sister. Silence, total silence. Alara felt dizzy. Sister? Mira had never mentioned family. Never. The healer's face turned white. You should have stayed hidden. The prisoner's smile vanished. You should have told her the truth. A terrible feeling settled in Alara's chest. Truth. And another secret, another lie, another betrayal. She was so tired of secrets. So tell me. Her voice shook. What truth? Neither woman answered. Tell me. Still silence. Then the prisoner laughed. A cold sound. A cruel sound. The old fool never told you? Mira closed her eyes. Pain flashed across her face. Stop. The prisoner ignored her. She raised you for 20 years. Alara's pulse thundered. Stop. She watched you grow up. Mira looked broken. Actually broken. And suddenly Alara realized what was coming. Realized before the words even arrived. No. The prisoner's eyes locked onto hers. Then she smiled. And delivered the betrayal. The woman who carried you through that storm. Silence. He wasn't your mother. Everything stopped. The world. The room. Her heartbeat. Everything. No. The word barely escaped. The prisoner nodded. Sorry. No. You deserve the truth. Alara turned toward Mira. Desperate. Terrified. Waiting. Praying. Tell me she's lying. Tell me. Please. Mira couldn't meet her eyes, and in that moment, Alara knew. The prisoner continued. The woman who saved you was your nurse. The room spun. Your real mother never escaped. Tears filled Mira's eyes. Stop. But the prisoner wasn't finished. Not even close. Your mother was captured. A pause. Then the final blow. And executed. The pain that followed was unbearable. A lifetime of questions. A lifetime of hope. Gone. Destroyed in seconds. Alara felt herself swaying. Rowan immediately moved closer. Protective. Steady. But even he couldn't stop this pain. Couldn't shield her from this truth. The prisoner watched everything. Satisfied. Then she delivered one final revelation. the worst one yet. The same man who ordered her execution, she smiled, and pointed directly at Rowan, was his father. Silence. Absolute silence. Alara slowly turned, toward Rowan, toward the alpha she trusted, toward the man who had protected her, the man she was beginning to care about. His face had gone completely pale, which told her everything, because he wasn't denying it. And for the first time since they met, Alara took a step away from him, then another, as the horrible truth settled between them, and Rowan realized he was about to lose her. Chapter 8. The silence hurt more than shouting ever could. No one moved. No one spoke. Alara stared at Rowan, waiting, hoping, praying. Tell me she's lying. Please, just tell me she's lying. But Rowan didn't speak, and that was enough. The pain hit harder than any wound. Not because of what his father had done, because Rowan had known. Maybe not everything, maybe not from the beginning. But he had known something, and he never told her. Another secret, another betrayal. She was tired of betrayal, tired of lies, tired of being the last person to know the truth about her own life. Alara. His voice was quiet. She stepped back. The movement cut through him immediately. She saw it happen, saw the pain flash across his face. For a moment, part of her wanted to comfort him. Then anger returned. Why should she? Why should she be the one comforting him? My mother is dead. The words sounded strange, unreal, like they belonged to someone else. Rowan looked devastated. I didn't know until recently. The answer came instantly. Too instantly. Almost desperate. She laughed bitterly. But you knew enough. Silence. And there it was. The truth. He knew enough. Enough to hide things. Enough to protect secrets. Enough to keep her in the dark. The prisoner smiled, satisfied, as if she'd accomplished exactly what she came to do. Mira noticed it too. You're enjoying this. The prisoner's eyes glittered. A little. The healer stepped forward. Fury transformed her usually gentle face. What do you want? The prisoner's smile vanished. I want the truth. You want chaos. No. The woman looked directly at Alara. I want her alive. Confusion swept through the room. Alive? The prisoner continued. The people hunting her are closer than you think. A chill spread through Alara. What does that mean? The woman hesitated. For the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. Then suddenly, a crossbow bolt exploded through the window. Everything happened at once. Glass shattered. Guards shouted. The prisoner turned. The bolt struck directly through her chest. Silence. Total silence. The woman looked down. Shock filled her eyes. Blood spread across her clothing. No! She collapsed, dead before she hit the floor. Chaos erupted. Rowan sprinted toward the window. Guards flooded outside, searching, hunting. Too late. The assassin was gone. Again. The room became a nightmare of movement and shouting. Yet Alara barely heard any of it, because the prisoner's final words echoed inside her head. Closer than you think. Closer than you think. Closer than you think. Hours later, she sat alone. Or as alone as Rowan would allow. Guards watched every entrance. Warriors patrolled every hallway. The Alpha House felt more like a prison than a home. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. She already knew who it was. Go away. The door opened anyway. Rowan entered. Neither spoke. Several long seconds passed. Then he quietly closed the door behind him. I understand why you're angry. Alara laughed. The sound wasn't pleasant. Do you? Yes. No. She stood, emotion finally breaking free. You don't. Her voice trembled. My entire life was built on lies. The words came faster. Harder. I don't know who I am. She pointed toward the door. I don't know who my family was. Toward the window. I don't know who's trying to kill me. Then finally toward him. And I don't know why you chose me. The room fell silent. There it was. The question. The one she'd asked from the beginning. The one he'd never answered. Why? Why her? Rowan looked away. For the first time since she'd known him, he seemed nervous. Actually nervous. Tell me. His jaw tightened. Rowan. A long silence followed. Then finally, I was ordered to. The answer stunned her. What? His expression darkened. My father ordered it. The room seemed to tilt. No. Yes. The confession hurt more than she expected, because part of her had hoped. Part of her had believed. Maybe he'd chosen her. Maybe he'd seen something special. Maybe. She laughed bitterly. Of course not. Why would he? He was an alpha. She was an omega. The story had never made sense. Now it did, and somehow that felt worse. Rowan saw the pain immediately. That's not the whole truth. She looked up. What? His eyes met hers. Steady, certain, honest. The order only explained why I approached you. Silence. It doesn't explain why I stayed. Something shifted between them. Something dangerous. Something neither had wanted to name. Alara's heartbeat quickened. Then explain it. Rowan took a breath. A slow one, as if preparing for battle. Maybe he was. Do you remember the Harvest Festival? Confusion crossed her face. 5 years ago? He nodded. Before the ceremony. A distant memory surfaced. A crowded festival, music, laughter, food stalls, a young servant carrying supplies. Her. What about it? Rowan smiled faintly. The expression looked painful. You dropped an entire basket of apples. Embarrassment flooded her instantly. Oh. Yes. She remembered. The memory had haunted her for weeks afterward. People laughed, mocked her, made cruel jokes. It had been humiliating. What does that have to do with anything? Rowan's smile faded. Everyone laughed. Silence. Except one person. Her breath caught. No, that wasn't possible. You. His voice softened. You helped an old merchant pick them up. The memory returned fully. An elderly wolf, weak legs, struggling. Everyone ignored him, so she'd helped. It hadn't seemed important. Not then, not now. Yet Rowan looked at her as if it mattered, as if it always had. I watched you. Her heartbeat became dangerous. You didn't know. He took another step closer. Nobody knew. The room felt smaller, warmer, more intense. Why? The question came out barely above a whisper. Rowan looked directly into her eyes, then finally revealed the truth. The truth he'd hidden from the beginning. The truth she'd never expected. Because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Silence. Complete silence. The confession hung between them. Raw, honest, terrifying. Neither moved, neither looked away. And for the first time, Alara saw everything clearly. Not the alpha, not the future leader, not the powerful wolf. Just Rowan. A man who had spent years hiding his feelings, years fighting them, years convincing himself they didn't matter. Then suddenly, a howl echoed outside. Long, powerful, ancient. The same howl from the white wolf. Both immediately turned toward the window. Another howl followed, then another, then dozens more. Rowan's face changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. What is it? The alpha moved toward the window, looked outside, then froze. Alara joined him and felt the blood leave her face. Hundreds of wolves stood beyond the village walls. Not Nightfang, not Moonfang. Unknown wolves, an entire army. And at their front stood the enormous white guardian, its silver eyes locked directly onto Alara. Then the impossible creature bowed its head, as if greeting its queen. And behind the guardian, a lone rider slowly removed his hood. The moment Alara saw his face, her world stopped, because she was looking at her own eyes, her own features, her own smile. Older, worn by years, but unmistakable. The rider stared at her from across the battlefield. Tears filled his eyes. Then he whispered words she couldn't possibly hear. Yet somehow she understood them anyway. My daughter. Her father had finally come home. But he hadn't come alone. Chapter 9. The village gates opened at sunrise. No one slept. No one could. An unknown army stood outside Moonfang. A legendary guardian stood at its front. And the man claiming to be Alara's father waited beyond the walls. Everything had changed overnight. Again. Rowan stood beside her atop the gate tower. His warriors filled every position, ready for battle, ready for betrayal, ready for anything. Yet no attack came. No threats, no demands, only silence. The rider waited patiently, as if he already knew she would come, as if he had waited 20 years, and could wait one more hour. Finally, Rowan spoke. You don't have to do this. Alara looked toward the army, toward the man who shared her face. I do. It could be a trap. She smiled sadly. My whole life has been a trap. Neither laughed, because it was true. After a long silence, Rowan nodded. I'll go with you. Relief spread through her immediately. Then guilt followed. Things between them were still complicated. Painfully complicated. She hadn't forgotten the secrets, hadn't forgotten the lies, but she also hadn't forgotten everything else. The protection, the trust, the respect, and the terrifying realization that her heart still reacted whenever he was near. Half an hour later, the gates opened. Alara walked forward, Rowan beside her. A small escort followed behind. The unknown army remained perfectly still, watching, waiting. The white guardian sat near the front. Its enormous silver eyes followed her every step. Yet somehow she wasn't afraid. Not of it. Never of it. As she approached, the hooded rider slowly dismounted. His hands trembled. Not from fear, from emotion. He looked at her as if she were a miracle, as if she were impossible. And maybe she was. For a long moment, neither spoke. 20 years. 20 years of separation. 20 years of questions. 20 years of loss. No words seemed big enough. And then the man smiled. A broken smile. A hopeful smile. My name is Kalen. His voice shook, and somehow that made everything real. My daughter. Tears filled Alara's eyes immediately. She hated that. Hated how much she wanted to believe him. Wanted this. Needed this. How do I know it's true? The question hurt him. She saw it, but he nodded anyway. You deserve proof. Slowly, he reached beneath his cloak. Every warrior tensed, even Rowan. Then Kalen pulled out a necklace. Silver. Ancient. A perfect match to hers. Alara's breath caught. The same crescent moon. The same wolf. The same symbol. There was no denying it. No explaining it away. The resemblance between them had already been impossible to ignore. Now the final doubt vanished. Her father was standing in front of her. Alive. After 20 years. Tears slid down his face. He didn't hide them. Didn't seem ashamed. I searched for you. His voice cracked. Every day. Something inside Alara broke. Years of loneliness. Years of wondering. Years of believing nobody wanted her. Gone. Just gone. because the man standing before her looked like someone who had suffered every day of her absence. Then suddenly his expression changed. The warmth vanished. Fear replaced it. He grabbed her shoulders. There's no time. Confusion flashed through her. What? Kaylin looked toward the mountains, toward the distant horizon, as if expecting something. Someone. We need to leave. Why? His face turned pale. They know where you are. A chill spread through her chest. They? The king looked toward Rowan, then toward Moonfang, then back at her, and for the first time she saw genuine terror in his eyes. The circle. Silence followed. No one recognized the name, except one person. The White Guardian. The enormous wolf immediately rose to its feet. A low growl rumbled from its chest. The sound carried across the valley. Danger. Warning. Fear. Kaylin noticed. His face grew even paler. They're already here. Before anyone could respond, a scream echoed from the village. Everyone turned. Smoke rose into the sky. Black smoke. Too much smoke. The village. Moonfang. Something was burning. No! Rowan immediately moved. Warriors rushed toward the gates. Another explosion followed. Then another. Panic erupted. The village was under attack. Again. But this time the enemy wasn't outside the walls. They were inside. Rowan's face darkened. Betrayal. The word carried pure fury. Kaylin nodded grimly. The circle infiltrated every major pack years ago. What are they? The king looked directly at Alara. The people who murdered your mother. Silence. They wanted the royal bloodline erased. His jaw tightened. When they failed, they hid. Smoke continued rising behind them. More screams followed. Closer now, louder. The attack was spreading fast. Then a wounded warrior came racing from the gates. Blood covered his clothing. Terror filled his eyes. Alpha! Rowan met him halfway. What happened? The warrior struggled to breathe. It's Elder Varric. The name meant little to Alara, but Rowan froze. Completely froze. Impossible. The warrior shook his head. It was him. Realization struck. Elder Varric, Moonfang's oldest advisor, the most trusted wolf in the territory, the man who had helped raise Rowan. No. The Alpha's voice sounded hollow. He opened the gates. Silence. He killed the guards. Another pause. He's leading the attack. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. Alara watched the pain cross Rowan's face. The devastation. The disbelief. The anger. Everything at once. The trusted advisor. The loyal elder. The mentor. A traitor. And suddenly the prisoner's warning made sense. The enemy was closer than you think. Much closer. Then the White Guardian threw back its head and howled. The sound shook the valley. Every wolf turned. Every warrior stared. Because the howl wasn't a warning anymore. It was a challenge. From the distant tree line, another howl answered. Then another. Then dozens. Then hundreds. The forest itself seemed to awaken. Wolves emerged everywhere. Gray wolves. Black wolves. Brown wolves. Packless wolves. Ancient wolves. They appeared from every direction, drawn by the Guardian's call. Drawn by Alara. The sight was breathtaking, terrifying, beautiful. The Guardian stepped beside her, silver eyes glowing. Then something impossible happened. Every wolf in the valley bowed. Every single one. Moonfang, Kaylin's army, the newcomers, all of them. Even Rowan's warriors. Even the Guardian itself. Alara stood frozen. What is happening? Kaylin stared at her with awe. Not fear, not respect. Awe. Then he spoke the truth that had been hidden for centuries. The Moon Daughter doesn't unite wolves through law. Silence. She unites them through blood. The world seemed to stop. And in that moment, Alara finally understood why armies hunted her, why legends feared her, why her bloodline had been erased. Because she wasn't merely an heir. She wasn't merely a princess. She was something far more dangerous. The last living ruler recognized by every wolf in existence. And somewhere inside the burning village, the leader of the circle smiled, because Alara had finally become exactly what they needed her to be. Chapter 10. The village burned. Smoke darkened the morning sky. Screams echoed through Moonfang. And in the middle of it all, Alara stood surrounded by hundreds of wolves bowing at her feet. A sight that should have felt powerful. Instead, it felt terrifying. Because now she understood. The circle had not been trying to stop her from becoming important. They had been trying to force it. They wanted this. The realization escaped her lips. Kaylin looked sharply at her. What? Alara turned toward the burning village. The attacks. The assassins. The war. Pieces began fitting together. For the first time. They weren't just hunting me. Her pulse quickened. They were pushing me. Rowan immediately understood. His expression darkened. They wanted you exposed. Alara nodded. If I stayed hidden, I was only a rumor. The truth felt horrible. But if enough people died... She looked at the wolves surrounding her. Eventually, I'd be forced into the open. Kaylin's face grew grim. And once every pack sees you, they can't deny me. Silence. The circle had spent 20 years hiding her existence. But now every wolf in the territory knew. The secret was gone forever. Which meant there was only one question left. Why? A howl interrupted her thoughts. The guardian suddenly growled, its silver eyes fixed on the village. Danger. Immediate danger. Then Rowan's face changed. There. Alara followed his gaze. A figure stood atop the Alpha House, watching them, waiting. An old wolf, tall, elegant, calm. Elder Varric, the traitor, the man who had hidden in plain sight for decades, the man who had helped destroy her family. Even from a distance, she could see him smiling, as if this entire nightmare pleased him, as if everything had happened exactly as planned. Then he raised a hand, and the fighting stopped. Every circle warrior froze, every infiltrator, every assassin. All at once, the battlefield fell silent. Varric slowly stepped forward, his voice somehow carried across the entire village. At last, the old wolf smiled. The moon daughter returns. Alara felt sick. You murdered my mother. The accusation echoed through the valley. Varric didn't deny it, didn't even look ashamed. No. His smile widened. I merely followed orders. A chill spread through everyone present. Orders. Someone higher. Someone worse. Who? Varric laughed softly. The same people who ordered the death of your grandfather. Silence. The same people who manipulated kings. Another pause. Alphas. Wars. The smile disappeared. For centuries. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Because everyone realized the truth. The circle wasn't a person. It wasn't a pack. It was an organization. Ancient. Hidden. Patient. Varric looked almost proud. We kept the territories divided. His eyes found Alara. Peacefully. The word made Rowan furious. Peacefully? Varric shrugged. Division prevents conquest. Division caused war. The old wolf smiled. Exactly. Silence. The answer stunned everyone. Then Alara understood. The circle didn't want peace. They wanted control. A divided territory was easier to manipulate, easier to rule from the shadows. A united territory threatened them, threatened everything they had built, which was why her family had been hunted, why her mother had died, why she had spent 20 years alone. The realization filled her with anger, real anger, the kind she'd spent her entire life suppressing. You took everything from me. Varric's expression softened unexpectedly, almost pitying. No. His gaze shifted toward Rowan, then toward Kaelin, then toward the wolves gathered around her. You still have a choice. Confusion flickered. A choice? The elder nodded, then delivered the final temptation. Become queen. Silence. The entire valley seemed to hold its breath. Varric continued. Unite the territories. His smile returned. Or watch them destroy each other. The challenge hung in the air, heavy, dangerous. For the first time, Elara truly understood what everyone wanted from her. Not her blood, not her title, her decision. One path led to power, the other led to chaos. Every eye turned toward her, waiting, watching, expecting. For most of her life, people had spoken over her, chosen for her, decided what she could be. Not anymore. Elara stepped forward. The guardian rose beside her. The wolves watched. The armies watched. Even Varric watched. She looked at the kingdom her family had lost, the father she'd found, the people she'd come to love. Then finally at Rowan, the alpha who had begun this journey as a mystery, and somehow become home. Their eyes met. No words were needed. Trust, respect, protection, everything they had built together. She smiled softly, and then turned back toward Varric. You were wrong. The old wolf frowned. What? Elara lifted her chin, the same chin her father possessed, the same strength her mother had died protecting. You think unity comes from a crown. Silence. It doesn't. She looked toward the gathered wolves. Unity comes from choice. The valley remained still. Then Elara spoke the words that changed everything. I won't rule anyone. Shock spread through the crowd. Even Kaelin looked stunned. Varric stared, unable to believe what he'd heard. Elara continued. The old kingdom is dead. A painful truth, but a necessary one. The packs deserve their own voices. Her gaze swept across the wolves, their own leaders. The guardian watched silently, as if judging her, as if waiting. I won't become a queen. The words felt right. Completely right. Instead of disappointment, relief flooded her chest. Freedom. At last. She wasn't choosing power. She was choosing people. Varric's smile finally vanished. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes, because his plan had failed. Completely. You fool! His voice shook. You could rule the world. Elara smiled. No. She glanced toward Rowan, then back at the old wolf. I'd rather live in it. Silence followed. Then something remarkable happened. A Moonfang warrior stepped forward and dropped his sword. Another followed, then another. Soon warriors across the battlefield were lowering their weapons, not surrendering, choosing peace, choosing an end. The circle had spent centuries controlling wolves through fear. But fear was fragile. Once broken, it rarely returned. Varric looked around desperately, watching his influence disappear, watching his power crumble, watching his followers abandon him. The old wolf laughed once, a bitter sound, then turned and ran. He never made it 3 steps. The wolves he had manipulated for years blocked his path. Not with violence, not with claws, with refusal. They simply stood there and let his empire collapse around him. Months later, the territories were changing, slowly, carefully. For the first time in generations, pack leaders met openly. Agreements replaced threats, trade replaced suspicion, trust replaced fear. Not perfectly, but enough. The circle disappeared, its remaining members exposed one by one. The old system died, and something better began. One evening, Elara stood outside a small cottage near the mountains. Not a palace, not a castle, just a home. And the same kind of home she had always wanted. The sunset painted the sky gold, peaceful, beautiful, real. Footsteps approached behind her. She smiled before turning. Rowan. Of course, some things had become wonderfully predictable. He stopped beside her, looking toward the horizon. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he sighed dramatically. I had a speech prepared. Alara laughed. A speech. A very good speech. I'm sure. His expression became suspicious. You don't sound convinced. She smiled. I've heard your speeches. That hurts. It should. He placed a hand over his heart, pretending to be wounded. The gesture made her laugh again, a sound she hadn't made nearly enough in her life. Then Rowan grew serious. Not nervous, not uncertain. Just honest. The way he always was when it mattered. You changed everything. Alara shook her head. No. His eyes met hers. Yes. A warm silence settled between them, the kind that only exists between people who truly know each other. Then Rowan reached into his pocket. Alara immediately narrowed her eyes. What are you doing? Nothing. Rowan. Possibly something. She laughed. His expression softened. Then he revealed a small silver ring. Simple, beautiful, perfect. Alara stared, completely speechless. For once. The alpha smiled. There goes my speech. Tears filled her eyes. Happy tears. The best kind. Good. He laughed, then took her hand. Not because she was a princess. Not because she was special. Not because of destiny. Because she was Alara. The servant girl. The Omega nobody noticed. The woman who had changed the world by refusing to become what everyone expected. Will you marry me? The sunset glowed around them. Warm, golden, hopeful. And Alara smiled through her tears. The answer had never been easier. Yes. Far away, a white wolf watched from a distant ridge, silver eyes shining beneath the moon. The guardian remained for a moment, watching, protecting. Then it turned toward the forest, its duty complete. And for the first time in 20 years, Alara's story no longer belonged to the past. It belonged to the future she chose for herself, the future she built with love. And this time, no one would ever take it away again. The end.